of Crafting coming to you on Friday, September 5th. It's 11:47 p.m. and I actually think I have stuff ready for the 3 cards we need to finish from what we were doing the last 2 nights. So, let me get my iPad set up here. Make sure I've got some sound, which it looks like I do. Sounds like I do. And I will try to watch comments in case anybody joins me live. Waiting for my computer to catch up. So I've had my computer and my iPad because it's easier to type comments at the end on my computer than it is on my tablet. Bonnie, welcome. This is like 3 nights in a row, right? So I was just getting my devices set up and you are the first one to pop in. So we are going to finish Fifi. We are going to finish the 3 cards from page 42 with this one sheet wonder. And I thought I dropped something, but maybe not. I'm still trying to wait for my computer to kind of catch up with me. That's kind of weird. Maybe that won't. There we go. Now it's catching up. All right. So, let me mute that. All right. So this is the one sheet wonder that we started not last night, but the night before. And this is on page 42 of the new mini catalog that went live on the 3rd. So the 3rd, we did this first card. Yesterday, the 4th, we did these 2. So let me just pull those out. So this is the same layout, believe it or not. It's the same elements. You know, we switched it up a little bit. The consensus was that those that were here collaborating thought the one we collaborated on was better. Here is a version of card number 2 from the catalog. And again, we modified it a little bit. I added a little bit of color. Let me zoom in just a little bit because everybody wanted it a little bit more zoomed yesterday. Hopefully that'll help a little bit. But we added a little bit of color, and I'll turn on my other lamp too. We added a little bit of color to the trees and the water and shifted that sentiment down because I didn't want to cover up that tree. And then here is this one. Now, I started this last night, but I didn't glue it all together because I wasn't happy with my layer. Okay, so here is the layer I did. And I wasn't careful when I was cutting it out because I thought, because I wasn't paying attention, I thought this die would actually create the layer. But what this die does is it cuts out all of the innards. So I didn't have it lined up or centered on here quite how I wanted it to. And then I had to trim some, and I just wasn't happy with the angle. All right. I sometimes have some little OCD tendencies. So what I intend to do with this one is maybe cut off this border and use some of these elements on another card. All right. So I'm not going to do that tonight. Just like this, when I cut out some of the oak leaves for what I thought we might be using yesterday. This, with some of those veins, could make a really cute card, or using this as a mask could make a cute card. So I'm going to hang on to that. And then we ended up doing a die cut for this card, but we all agreed that we didn't really care for that on there. It just didn't seem to fit with the other items. So I'll hang on to this. And this, because I wasn't paying attention that that was designer series paper, I colored another piece and I like how that was colored. So I'm going to hang on to that too, and a sentiment. So those will make some other cards. But after I recut this layer, I decided to put it up on my adhesive strips, these foam adhesive strips, because they're nice and narrow. So it made just a nice border here. Now, this could potentially make a fun shaker card too, with the right elements. So that's something I might think about doing as well. But I don't know if you can tell. I think you can see it on the camera. There is some coloring below this layer. Thank you, Fifi. So below this lacy, intricate piece, I put some pecan pie, and we'll have to decide if it's going to be pecan, or pecan tonight, or if we come up with another pronunciation for pecan. So anyway, I used some pecan pie. I used a little bit of Calypso coral. I put a little bit of mossy meadow, and I also used a little bit of balmy blue in there. So I wanted to, hello, call me Glitter. Are you with Mama Juju's group? I think maybe she calls you Glitter. I don't remember. Hello, Steph. Welcome. Some familiar names popping in. I'm just recapping the cards we made the last 2 nights. So I did some blending, ink blending on there. And then I fussy cut that piece last night. We die cut these deer out of that metallic paper that is very pretty. And heat embossed the sentiment. This doesn't have any ribbon under it. And originally we had looked at maybe using some of this irregular weave ribbon on there and coloring it. But I actually had some of this. Hello, Mrs. Gigi. I was going to say, you have not been here before because I don't recognize your name. But if you're coming in from Mama Juju, I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. I've been trying to pick up some of your pages for your group. I stopped into Pam's page a couple of times. I've stopped into Mama Juju's a couple of times. And today I was looking at another gal, not from your group, but she's been on here several times now as well. So I've been trying to frequent your pages as well. It's kind of a struggle sometimes to fit it in my schedule. But anyway, I used the basic beige ribbon here. And this is just, I think it's like what, 3/8 inch? Yeah, it's 3/8 inch. And I just used, I think, the pecan pie alcohol blends. Oh, hello, Vicky. I almost missed you popping in too. Mama Juju's here. Good crowd tonight. Nice. Well, we'll be busy because we've got 3 cards to finish. So anyway, for this card then, I thought I would just put a strip of that ribbon underneath here. And it looks like it might be just a little bit angled, but I don't think the recipient would care. So any medium to light color ribbon, we can color with the alcohol blends. Okay. So we'll put that back down there. And you can color this irregular weave too. But when we were looking at this yesterday, I know Fifi mentioned to color it a different color. And I agree, this is not the right color for this. I think this might be crushed curry. But that's just kind of my sample at how well it colors. So this was the one that I finished up today from last night. So a couple of changes even from what we had discussed, but I think it turned out pretty well. Now, I didn't finish any of the insides, but I will eventually. So I think I've posted all of these to my Facebook page. So If you want to comment there as well or add a picture of something you're working on, feel free to do that over on my Facebook page, which is also Lori's Little Bit of Crafting. So let's get down to business and do this card. All right. So Tammy's a sleepyhead. Well, she's going to be on. I mean, she goes on for hours, doesn't she? I mean, a lot of you gals seem to go on for long lives. That's pretty cool. Get your watch hours in, right? I'm getting close. So we are going to do this one next. So we did 1, 2, and 3 already, and we're going to do 4, 5, and 6. Now, this is the one sheet wonder that we worked on. That's the 12 by 12. So I'm going to pull that over, and we are going to, I wanted to keep these kind of in order so you could see what we used so far. And I apologize if there's glare on here. So we've already used these 2 pieces that were 4 by 5 1/4. So we used 1 here and 1 here. And then this one we used to fussy cut. That's not a die cut, it was a fussy cut. Ria, welcome. So you can't find my Facebook page, or you just haven't looked? Oh, it would help if you'd go look for it. You did find my Stampin' Up! Shop. So yeah, that's important, you know, if you like some things. Thank you for subscribing, Julie. Welcome. So Julie, I don't know if you've visited here before. Your name does not look familiar, but it could just be that I missed it when we're going through. So thank you, ladies, for all popping in. This is great. So you'll be able to have some good conversation. If I don't keep up with all the comments, that's a good thing, because that just means you ladies are keeping the conversation going. Well, welcome, Julie. I'm glad you're here. All right. So this card is what we're doing today. Julie, if you missed a little bit, just go back and watch the replay later, and you can see these first 3 cards and how we made them a little different the last couple of nights. So for this card, we need, let me just make sure I'm not going to mess up. We need this piece because we need the tree, and we need this piece because, well, obviously when we cut them, they're all from the one side, but we're going to use the back side of that. And then this piece, and this piece is going to be for this card. And that will leave this piece for our last card. All right, so I'm going to get these out of the way. And this is going to go for card number 5. And this is going to go for card number 6. And where did I set card number 6? There it is. Phew, thought I lost it. And then this is just that Earth and Tones metallic paper that is just gorgeous. So we're going to use a little bit of that today too. It does look like a Juju raid. I appreciate that. Appreciate all the extra pop-ins. All right, so I do have the recipe basically from Stampin' Up, which they give to demonstrators so that we know what color. Let's say I need to know that I need Mossy Meadow cardstock and very vanilla for this, but they don't give us any measurements. So it's all pretty much, we figure it out, right? So I am going to set this maybe over here. I don't know if you're probably not going to be able to see that because it's going to be off my camera view because I am zoomed in a little bit. But let me pull in the things for card number 4. So I kind of got things organized, I think. We'll see. So the first thing we're going to do is, it calls for, believe it or not, Smoky Slate. Yes, Buttercups, I appreciate the thumbs up. Mama Juju, you're awesome. And did you see my email? Your one order shipped, but the other one didn't ship yet, so it'll probably ship on Monday. Thank you for that, by the way. All right, so we have got, did I say basic gray? This is gray granite. All right, so we've got an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. I always like to score at 4 1/4 all the way down, and then just turn it and cut it 5 1/2 just once. So I've got 2 card bases ready to go. All right. And if there's a little lip like here, you might be able to see there's just a little lip, like this page might have been just a little bit wider than 8 1/2. I'll just make sure that the longer side is onto the front so that they don't see this edge here rather than trying to cut it off. All right. So we are going to have this piece is going to go here. Now you might notice in the catalog, the color on here seems a little bit lighter than what this is in real life. It might be deceptive just because of the camera shot, but sometimes what happens is when Stampin' Up's concept artists are creating their samples, they may have just the mock-up of what the paper is going to be. They may not have the final product. So sometimes there is just a little difference in the color because some of those colors they're generating from the computer um, to get their samples done. Lemon lime twist, it's one of my favorites. I've told you that before. So anyway, then what we're going to do is we are going to take this big tree die, and that comes from the Autumn Trees. So that's the bundle. Now, the dies actually come on 2 sheets because there's so many of them and they're larger. So we've got this die will cut out the silhouette, and it will also put some texture and some leafy images on there. And yes, page 42. Thank you, Fifi. Fifi's almost like my moderator here. It's awesome. Oh, I guess I need that, don't I? And then this deer with the mama and the little baby there has some cattails and a rock and some grass. So that's pretty cool. We used that last night. But then this will also give some leafy layer to the tree. And then there's some shrubbery rocks and a buck. So there's a lot of nice dies in that set. And some of them will cut out, I think, from the designer series paper. But maybe not. I need to give her a raise. Yes, I'll double your salary. All right, so let's get Bossy Betty out here, and we're going to die cut this designer series paper, which is a nice technique that I think people forget about. But there's a lot of times, and I want to make sure you ladies can see this. So with our machine, I'm using plate 1, plate 2 is the shim, plate 3 is a cutting plate. And I've mentioned it in the past, but I haven't mentioned it lately. When I have my plates, I have my grungy one. That's the one that I do all of my cutting on, and it might get a little bit of warp on it. My other machine that I actually use more often is not warped. I don't know why. It's probably just how I've put things on. If you put your die in the center all the time, you're gonna wear out the center before you'll wear out the edges. So I try to move some of my stuff around so the whole plate's getting it. But then my other plate, I usually have, like on the main one that I use when people are here for my classes, I have a, a label on there that says this is the top plate because I don't want them cutting in the top one. So once I finally get tired of this bottom plate and, maybe it'll crack. I've had this one, I don't know how long, years. I don't remember when this came out, but this is probably my original plate from this one. But I have had them crack in the past. So once I'm ready to get rid of it, then I'll move this plate to the bottom, and then I'll put a brand new plate as the top plate. So that way I'm only doing one plate at a time. I'm not getting rid of both of them. All right, so let's just line this up and cut this tree out. And there's a page 39 actually has a couple of samples as well. Yeah, you can, if you go to my my page as well, my store, lauriemacari.stampinup.net. That's just, you can put that in your browser. The catalogs are there, available online. And you can see all of the goodies. I need to add more of my projects on there, so that's on my to-do list. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this away so I don't fling it somewhere and so it doesn't get stuck under my table, because if it bounces, that's probably where it's going to go, because we do not need this for the other two cards we're doing tonight, if we get to them all. I think we will. You gals have lots of stamina, so. Good night, Steph. Thanks for popping in. All right, so we have this, and then we have a couple. The sample shows 2 strips here. So, hello, is that Jutta or Judah? Is it like something that juts out? I don't think I've had your name pop up here before, so welcome. Hopefully I'm not pronouncing it wrong. It looks like Jutta to me, but it might be Juta. All right, so we need to decide at this point. Whoops, yeah, Bonnie, you fell asleep. That's okay. Mama Juju falls asleep on us sometimes too. That's all right. So Utah. Okay, I will try to remember that. All right, good to know. So the sample shows this cut in half, and it also shows it not going the whole length of the card front, but I kind of like it the whole length. What do you think? And should I cut it in half, or should I just flag the ends? And you can see that is metallic. Hopefully you can see that it's metallic. I'm waiting for my cameras to, there, yeah, you can see that that's a metallic paper. So we'll need to decide if we want to do that. I think maybe a narrow flag might be kind of fun, but I kind of like it the whole length of the card. We'll have to see. It seems like it flag because you don't know what that is. Oh, okay. We'll flag the ends then. And if we don't like it, I can always cut just another piece. All right. So then the other thing is the sample shows the sentiment on this mossy meadow, and that'll be embossed. So we did some embossing, I think, last night. But do we want the green, or do we want like the pecan or pecan as a sentiment to keep it all a little more monochromatic? All right, so you'll need to kind of let me know with that. Before we go much further though, we are going to do a little bit of stamping on the base of this. All right, so there's this little rock image. I think it's rocks. And the recipe calls for my sponge dauber, but with the samples, I couldn't tell what needed to be daubed. So it could be that they used a dauber. So let's say we do this with the gray, and I'm going to get just a piece of scrap out here to make sure this is getting inked up. It is. It's very subtle. It's almost like a gravelly sort of look. All right, so let's say we ink that up, but we want to do multicolor on it. So we could pick up a little bit of the pecan pie, and I'll probably get my sleeve in this if I'm not careful. I got kind of autumn colors on tonight. We could add a little bit of that to make it almost like a two-tone. It doesn't show up a whole lot, so I think it's probably more trouble than what it's worth. So I think I'm just going to stick with the gray granite for this. Oops, I just got ink all over my fingers. Good thing I have jeans on tonight. I can just rub it on my jeans. All right, so we're just going to kind of like make our own little background. And I really only have to do this kind of randomly around the edge because we're going to have this piece of designer series paper in there. So it's just giving a little bit of texture to this layer. So it's just not plain. And while it's tone on tone, it does add something. So it almost looks like there's a patterned paper under there. And you can tell I'm kind of moving my paper around because it's easier to move my paper around than it is to move my stamp around. And maybe that's just because I'm a lazy stamper. I don't know. All right, so if this piece is going to go here, I pretty much have that whole border covered. Hopefully you can see that. So let's get rid of this. Now, the other thing we could do is I could use some of the pecan pie and do some ink blending around the edge of the tree. What do you think of that? Now, the sample doesn't show that, but like we did ink blending here, but when we did that card, we didn't do it real dark all the way around. I mean, all the way solid. We kept it kind of lighter in the middle. So I'm just wondering if I did a little bit of ink blending there, that might look, kind of give it a weathered look. So that's why I brought out my blending brush. And I love these blending brushes. We have them in two sizes. There's one that has the bigger head on it. But since they came out with these littler ones, I think I only buy the little ones now. But I'm just going to kind of put it on a little heavier right along the edges so that it's darker there. But I also just daub it off there so that I don't have just a big glut of color where I don't want it. Now, if I was going to work on my glass mat or, well, here, I'll show you even. If I'm going to work on my glass mat, I can tap it off there. And then as I go, I can pick up that ink. And then I'm not wasting any, not that it wastes that much, but then I'm not wasting that ink on the paper, if that makes sense. I think it does. So when I get enough ink on my glass mat, then I can just pick up the ink off of there. I think that kind of adds a little something to it. I like it. It almost gives a kind of a burned look without a burned look. Now I could kind of wrinkle these too. Kind of roll them maybe. I don't want to use my snips and shag up the edges, but this almost gives it a look like the paper was burned to me. Does it look like that to you guys at all? And if I accidentally rip some of this, I really don't mind. It'll just look a little more weathered. And I think I'll just leave the base of the tree how it is. All right. So let's cover this up because otherwise I'm going to end up inking myself. All right, so this piece we can go ahead and glue on. Well, I could burn the paper, but you know, I'm a certified firefighter. I'm not on a department anymore, but that would be a little bit of a fire hazard. So it goes against my better judgment. And when we did our addition for my parents, we have wired smoke detectors. So they would probably go off. All right. So that's pretty straight. I could have roughed up the edge on that too, I suppose, but it's a little late now. And then this, I think I'm going to put up on dimensionals. It's hard to tell from the picture if it's on dimensionals. The recipe does say there's dimensionals, so we're just going to go with it. And we'll put a bunch on here. I'll cut a couple of little ones for the grassy part. Hopefully I'm not putting on too many because our sentiment is going to go right about here. So I'll probably be gluing that flat. I might have a dimensional off of there. So now, if we do this as a flag, which I really kind of like, that looks really stunning across there. You see that? I like, because this is brown. It's a brown metallic. That's pretty fun. All right, so let's flag the end of here. So when we flag it, and we are going to, let me just trim this down because it's an odd, it was just, I just cut. So if this is, let's do it 1.5, because then I can just go to, I go to 3/4, and I'm just going to show you. We're going to go up and just trim a little bit right in the center. Normally I would do it with my snips. And you might not have even, oh, you could see that, I guess. I forget I've got it zoomed in a little bit. Normally I would just snip up with my snips here. But since the trimmer was there and I was measuring it, it works. So I'm going to go from this corner to the top of my snip. All right. And because that's in the center, when I go to the other side, I'm going to flip it over just because I'm left-handed. It's easier for me. And I go from that corner into the snip. They're going to be symmetrical. And that is pretty important to me. I like things that are symmetrical. I've got just a little nub there. And I think I might need to find my pair of snips that's a little bit newer than these. I've got a little bit of nub there. You probably can't see it, so I'm not gonna stress about it anymore. All right, so I missed the part about being a member. I'm not sure what being a member is. I have a fingerprint on here. So I'm gonna try to buff that off a little bit. Let's see if I can get another fingerprint on there. All right, so here, we're gonna go ahead and put that on there. The tree is gonna go there. If I have the tree in the center, my banner is gonna kind of go to the center of the tree trunk because that's gonna be symmetrical to me. And then we need to decide if we like that, Stampin' Up! Members for shopping. Are you a demonstrator, Julie, or not? A Stampin' Up! Demonstrator? Or you already have an account, a customer account maybe? Nice. Either way is good. So if we like the banner like this with the flagged ends, I can leave it like that. Or we could cut it and we could still leave these flagged ends, but then I would cut one a little bit shorter and offset them. What do you think? And I'm going to grab my other snip because you might not be able to see it, but that's bothering me. There we go. Better. All right. So then I am going to get the sentiment that says, "You're simply the best." And we're going to do some embossing. Now, that's going to be cut out. Too tired to think. Yeah, sometimes it's easier just to not have to think. All right, so we are going to cut this out with that square. So those, my scraps are good either way. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to stamp it on both and we're going to emboss it on both and we can decide which color we like better. Oh, we still call them hobby demonstrators. Now you're just a customer. Well, you can remedy that if you want to join again. All right, so let's, I should probably wipe that off. Got a little bit of my pecan pie on there. There. Not that it'll matter, it's all on the back, but hopefully I didn't smudge the back. I did not. Well, when you're a hobby demonstrator, you get a discount, which is a nice thing. 20% off is 20% off, right? And even if you don't stay with it, if you're planning ahead and you're going to, yeah, I know it is, you can't guarantee. And a lot of people do that. They basically come in and be a kidnapper because you get extra stuff when you join. But even if you can't maintain the minimums, if you have plans to do what I consider a big order, and that would be anything over $99, you may as well join because then you get an extra $26 worth of product and then you'll get a discount for at least 3 months. Usually it's closer to 6 months because that first quarter that you join, if it's a partial quarter, it doesn't really count. So then you have a discount even longer. And then if you don't maintain the minimums, then you just don't get your discount anymore. It's not like you have to give anything back. And that's how I'm sorry if I'm not on camera. Hopefully I'm on camera. I forget that I have that zoomed in. When I initially joined, I had no intention of doing this kind of stuff. I wanted the discount. I wanted whatever bonus there was. I don't even remember what it was. I joined in 2017. Fifi, I don't know if you remember what your bonus was. But sometimes they sweeten the pot and offer something in addition to just the extra $26 worth of merchandise. Like one year it was this cute little guillotine. And because I was a demonstrator, I was able to order one. So that was fun. I really like that. Where's the cover for this? All right, so we're going to go ahead and get the heat gun out and heat that up. If I run out of sound again, let me know because I've got my wireless mic on and I should maybe plug in my second one. Oh, the whole color family free would be good. One of I had somebody join during Celebration, which we don't have Celebration anymore. This will be the first year we don't have it. But we're going to a Product of the Month Club, which I think is really awesome. I'm trying to see if this is all set because that's set pretty quick. And I guess I don't really need my tweezers because it's not that hot for my fingers today for some reason. It could just be my neuropathy doesn't feel it. Who knows? All right. So I like to heat from the back because then I can see everything. And I'm going to plug in my other little microphone here just in case. There we go. Just in case I run out of sound. All right, so let's get out our little Betsy today because I don't really need the big one and I want to preserve that metallic banner. Yes, that was an awesome deal. And I got the boho blue mini stamp and cut and emboss machine too because it was adorable. So I felt that I needed it. All right. And we don't find out ahead of time if there's going to be a deal. I believe there is going to be something coming up, but we don't know when, we don't know what. That might be a little off center. There was one a few years ago, maybe it was just 2 years ago, maybe it was one of the ones last year, that it was the whole color family. Is that, yes, you got the whole color family. So that must have been, did you say 2 years ago? Or was that sometime last year, the year before? I don't remember. But I'm turning this, if you noticed the last time, so that my corner is leading to go in my machine. Yeah, it used to be the really good deals were like during celebration. But then they started doing them at different times too. And now since there's not celebration, it's just going to be a surprise. Who knows when it's going to be. All right, I don't think I need this. Oh, I do need, no, I don't need the stylish shapes. Oh, I'll need circles. So I'm just going to leave those out. Sorry, I'm indecisive here right now. The whole color family of new stamp heads. Yeah, Fifi, that's a good deal too. But when they had like the whole color family, you got like cardstock and I think, I don't know, did you get blends and or markers? I mean, there was a bunch of stuff in that one. A few of us were teasing that we thought we would quit and rejoin just to get the bonus, but yeah. And so sometimes I struggle with the ones that we have now. But I have found that we used to call this a cross finger technique. And as an EMT, if we had to open somebody's jaw, you went opposite direction. So if I use my index finger to push down on the bottom and my thumb to push up on the top, it works pretty well. Some people, and I'm going to move this out of the way, some people press near the top there to get it to pop open. And some of them you can just lift. All right. But I have found too that sometimes I have a hard time rolling, pushing these in. And I know those close to my heart design ones are really cool. If anybody wants me to grab that and show you, I would love if Stampin' Up! Would go to those. But anyway, sometimes this is hard to slide in, and I will use just a little tube of Vaseline, not like the lip balm one that's got the angled top, but just the regular rounded top. And I will put a little dollop of Vaseline in here, and then it slides much easier. So this one, I'm pretty certain I have put Vaseline in there, and it just slides easier. And I've gotten much better at not getting ink on myself, but sometimes I just can't help myself. All right, let's go here. And if we put our tree in the middle and our little flagged banner, I like it top to bottom instead of cut off here. What do you think? Yeah, it shouldn't be that hard. And I have thumb issues. I don't know if it's arthritis, it could be like de Quervain's syndrome. It's not carpal tunnel, um, but it's painful. So sometimes it's just hard to open those. So there is the sentiment in pecan pie. And I think it's a good thing if we were to use the pecan pie, it matches what we did around the border. Okay? Yes, it is frustrating when we get smudges on something we've been working particularly hard on. All right, so there's that one. And I almost like it better kind of off this metallic piece because I kind of like it symmetrical with the border here. I can't really see the symmetry there. So it just doesn't look as balanced to me as I would like. So there's that. And there's the mossy meadow. Now, with the mossy meadow, there's no other green in here. I could use a little of the alcohol blend and color in the tree. Any thoughts on that? So here's the sample and here's ours. Now, the other thing is there's no ribbon in there either. And we could certainly add a little bit of ribbon. I don't want a bow because it's almost a more masculine kind of card. We could put a little swatch of ribbon in there too, just to dress up that sentiment a little bit. So some mossy meadow in the tree, I think is probably a good idea. All right, and I'm just gonna cut a little bit of this ribbon in case we decide to use it. Angle that a little bit more. All right. So let's do a light mossy meadow here. Or I could even do, I pulled in my old olive just in case, because that's considerably lighter. So if I just do a little bit of scribbling on here, I can use a couple of the different colors. I'll do the old olive where it's lighter on the designer series paper. And I think I'm just going to color the big tree, not all of them. So let's just do another layer there. And it's a light touch. You might be able to hear me kind of scribbling there, but it's just a very light touch. So this should be my light mossy meadow. And we can add some highlights there. I think that adds something to it. I like it. And it's going to be, shades of coloring there, not just all one deep color. I like it. Can you see that on there? Hopefully you can see that. All right. Do we like the banner just a single piece with the flag? I kind of like it. And then now this looks to me more like it fits there because of the extra green in there. Hopefully you can see that. When I get closer to the camera, we don't have as good of light. But I think the green in the tree helps highlight it a little bit. So I'm going to put just a couple of dimensionals over here. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Fifi. Maybe I'll just put one dimensional over there. That's really all I need. I'm going to go ahead and attach this. And I like the liquid glue just because if I don't get it on straight, it gives me a little bit of wiggle room. because it doesn't set right away, but I use a very thin layer. And if you have trouble with glue, especially if you're using this metallic paper, you want to use less glue rather than more glue, because if it oozes out, then you end up having a mess. And I'm just using my tree, so it's kind of in the middle so I can see where I wanted that banner to go. Okay. So let's go ahead and take these backings off. Come off. See how many papers I can get on here. There we go. Last one. Alrighty. Is everybody tired tonight? Here, I thought there'd be a ton of chatter, and there was for a little bit. So I'm looking here and I'm seeing if I move this over, then more of that shows. But if I have this, let go. If I move this over so that edge doesn't show, then my center of my tree is not quite where I want it. I guess I'm just gonna put the tree in the middle and just be happy with it. Close enough. All right, so let's put, oh, we're using the green one. Let's put a little bit of glue along this edge here. And then, because I've got that dimensional on this other corner, that's gonna, oh, I need that ribbon. Whoops. Let's put a little bit of this on here. There we go. All right, now we can put this on. That was almost an oops. Now, it doesn't show any gems on here. I can save that too. But these gems are really pretty. What if we did, these big gems are really big, but what if we just did 1, 2, 3. What do you think? I think it works. Now, I would not have considered the gray granite cardstock for this, but I think it looks pretty good. All right, so let's take a look. So this is the sample and this is our version. It works. All right, card number 4, done. Now we're going to do card number 5. This one should go pretty quickly too. Let me get this out of the way. I don't think I need the gray granite anymore. Thank you, Fifi. Ours is better, Bonnie. It's a collaborative effort. All right, so for this one, we're going to use this Autumn Wishes stamp. And then we have, I cut a few things ahead of time. And this is my old olive that goes up there. Let me just get some of this stuff out of the way. I got some of this stuff ready ahead of time because I knew I was doing the 3 cards, so I wanted to be ready. All right. So with this one, we've got the very vanilla cardstock, 8.5, 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Let's go ahead and get that taken care of. And that's laying pretty flat. I like that. And then we've got this piece of the cardstock or the designer series paper. And I am not going to put any color around the edge because we've got the very vanilla background. And I think that blends really well with that. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this on right away. So Bonnie, do you do junk journaling as your main crafty item? I don't remember if it's come up before. I've never done the junk journaling. I think that's good. So you do not do junk journaling. So you do cards and maybe like home decor items. Well, that's a little crooked, I think. I wonder if I can still shift it. It might be down. Might be down too hard. Close enough, I guess. 3D paper crafting. Cool. All right, so then we have these two that were these pieces, all right? And those we're gonna make a couple of banners, and I'm gonna cut them at the same time so that the angle of the flag is the same. Yeah, I'm not big into journaling, so I've watched a few of them, like Mama Juju has her stuff. Pam the ginger cat lady, I think is what she's called. Sala also does junk journaling. She was doing a kit, I think, with hers. Where I think Mama Juju, if you're still awake, I think yours is just all like free form. You don't have a kit. Or didn't the ones that I've watched for you don't seem like you've got a kit. All right, so those little banners with their flagged ends are the same. So let's move this out of the way. This is going to come here like so. Okay. And then we're going to do some stamping right on the designer series paper. Now, it's hard to tell for sure what size that circle is, but I don't think it's that big. So I cut the next smaller one from the stitched stylish shapes. I use the next one down, and I think that's what we'll use here. So I'll save this for another project as well. So let's go ahead and we're going to do the early espresso on here. So is Ko-fi a company? Because I thought Sala said she mentioned Ko-fi or something as well. Maybe I'm just confused. Or Ko-fi. All right, that looks pretty good. We're going to stamp this right down here. Oh, okay. Like Etsy. That looks good. We'll clean that off right away. Do you ladies use a chamois? This is like, it's a foamy piece that we get wet. If you let it dry, it's like a hard, very hard. But I like to keep mine damp all the time because, well, I'm in here every day for one thing. But I like to keep it damp. And then it's always ready. So that can go there. This will go here. And then we're going to make this little cluster. Now, I did use the early espresso and I made our little cattail. I think that's a cattail. But then it shows some leaves here, and we're using the die cutting machine to cut right out of the designer series paper. So it's got 2 of the orange shade and then 2 of the green shades. So let me move this out of the way. We'll get our little Betsy out again. And I guess I need some plates. And doesn't really matter where we line it up. This is one where I wish they would have given us multiple leaf dies. Sometimes Stampin' Up! Does that if it's something that they think you're going to cut multiples out of. And then sometimes they don't. So this one, the way it's turning out, it seems like it's going to be pretty close to the sample. All right, so, oh, I guess I was looking for the little veins. So you keep yours in a little plastic bag. I think I missed what you were talking about. They're cute. I think it's a demo only. All right, I'm not sure. I missed part of the conversation, I think, but it is what it is. So this paper actually has a fox on there, and I'm not sure how that would work with the leaf. So I'm just going to put the fox, kind of the stem on the fox and run that through. Now I could probably run a couple of pieces of designer series paper through here with one die. They will cut through 2 layers generally pretty well. But then I have to worry about kind of making sure the pattern is where I want it. Yes, I keep my chamois in. These are the old woodblock cases because I cut my chamois in half because then I can have twice as many chamois around. But I also have one that's in a full-size case. So it just depends on what I need. If I'm using a bigger die or a bigger stamp rather, then I'll use the bigger one. I like it better than, yes, it's to clean the stamps. I like it better than using the mist cleaner. For whatever reason, I'm not that big a fan of that. I have a few of those for my classes, but since we got the chamois, I don't use them really much at all anymore. All right, so I am going to go ahead and maybe cut this out of both of these at the same time. We'll see how it looks. Because I don't really have to worry about a box coming out on there. And I think these will be okay if I go this way. We'll see. So there's a chamois. Or is that the spray stuff? I don't care for the spray stuff. All right, let's go ahead and poke these out. Oh, we got a little pheasant on here. We got a pheasant head poking out. I'll try to cover that up. And I don't think I'm going to use the little veins, but I am going to put my die on my magnet over here so I don't lose it. All right. I can get these out of the way. These would make kind of a fun, I don't know. You can make like a random card with something like that too, if you like, or in your junk journaling. That might work, huh? Something like that. All right, let's bring this back in and we'll see what we want to do. I suppose I could bring my catalog too, so you can kind of see the sample. All right, so again, we're working on this one, and it shows in the catalog. You know, a lot of times the catalog will give you little hints of things to try, but here it does show that this is cut out of the designer series paper. Kind of like last night, and I missed it, that it was the designer series paper, which is why I colored this piece and I didn't need it. All right. So those are going to go there. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these down because it doesn't look like these are, this bottom one at least is not raised. The top one might be. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this one down. See, I am very lucky when I am stamping. Right now I'm trying to just wipe them off with my chamois, but when I'm just kind of creating on my own, and other nights when I've been on here too, I'm lucky enough to have a sink in my studio space. So when we did our addition, we converted a bedroom and added half of it to another bedroom, which is what created my crafting space. So I have like a room and a half. That's crooked. Why am I so crooked tonight? That was really crooked too. Because we put a laundry room in the other half so that my parents wouldn't have to go up and down the stairs. So I have water. I said, hey, if we're going to have laundry there, it's going to be on an adjacent wall. I want water in my studio. So I'm going to glue the top of this, but the bottom I'm going to put some dimensionals on. How's that for decisive? And then we can kind of maybe curl these just a little bit. And then we'll put some glue on here. I had posted a picture the other day on my Facebook page. My granddaughter had been here and we ended up with a sink full of blocks with stamps on them. And she just kept adding to it, and she eventually washed them, but she was just being a crafting fool and was using lots of stamps. So we had a whole sink full of stamps that needed to be washed. All right, and then this will go here. Now I can put this all on dimensionals because I only have the 2 little dimensionals here. So if I put more dimensionals up here, it's not going to make it extra thick. So Julie, if you're getting a lot of glue on your fingers, it means you're using too much glue. Try to use a thinner layer. The other thing that I do too is I got these little bottles when it was still the dollar store. I call it the $1.25 store now. But there are, I think, like 4 in a package. And I just put some of the green glue, if you will, in this. And then I can make a really thin line if I need to. So, all right. Let's put a couple more on here. And then all of these other embellishments go on top of our sentiment. Yeah, I have some stampers, some gals that come and stamp with me, and they are really heavy-handed with the glue. So I only offer them this because it really helps control it. And my granddaughter used to say dot, 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 not a lot. She's 7.5. She'll be 8 the end of the year, actually. So she's more than 7.5. But she used to say dot, 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 not a lot. I guess I could use another dimensional down here. Um, and then she stopped doing that and she started, squiggling stuff around. And I'm like, why did you change the way you were doing it? Because she squeezes too hard. She doesn't have the the control. She gets a little overzealous when she crafts, but I love it. Um, she said, "Well, Grandma, I'm doing it like you." And that just made me feel special because she was trying to copy me. All right, I'm not going to use the little veiny pieces. All right, so there's our couple of foliage kind of pieces, our leaves. And then we'll put our little cattail in there. And maybe we could use another cattail. We'll kind of make it a wreath-ish. I think that looks pretty cool. All right, and these I'm just going to get rid of. I don't really need those. I can't see myself using them. And then where am I going to store them, right? All right, so let's start with this green one. There are other glues that rub off and disappear. Yes, Fifi, I think you've mentioned those. Mama Juju might have mentioned those too. And there we go. Just trying to put just the littlest amount on here. So I'm going to tuck that kind of under here. And this one I'm just going to put a little glue over on this side. We're finally starting to get some cooler weather. So I was really cold pretty much all day today. And it's not like it's cold outside, but I kind of like the 80s and I don't mind the 90s. It's usually really humid by us though. So that's when it gets so unbearable. Let's take that down a little bit more. And then I need to get my cattail in there too, I guess. And now, of course, I'm warm again. Oh, and if anybody was wondering, I know we didn't do a whole lot of blending brush work today, but I took my jewelry off tonight. I took my necklace off, so there would be no clanking. In case anybody missed the extra noise. So we're just taking this down a little further than what the sample shows. And hopefully I'm staying on the camera. I apologize if I'm going off screen too much. All right. I think those will all be good. And then we have gems. And we'll get my take your pick tool. And let's see what they did. So they just did 1, 2, 3. It's pretty plain up here though, so that one little gem hopefully will be enough. We could always do more than 3. But this is just, I think this is probably enough. So this one is pretty close to the Stampin' Up! Sample. So ours looks pretty similar. I used 2 of the cattail pieces and I shifted around our foliage so they've got green, orange, orange, green. just because that's how it looked to me. But I like it. What do you think? Let's clean up some of the debris and go on to the last card. So this one should be pretty quick also. So we need some mossy meadow. And I got my die ready, the sentiment. And we're using this last piece of the One Sheet Wonder. Lost my train of thought there for a second. We're going to do some of this ribbon, this irregular weave. Now we could decide if we wanted to do a different color, but I think that's actually going to stand up pretty nice. And then this is what we're going to stamp our acorn, and we're going to stamp the acorn and the sentiment on here. And then our base, we're going to go ahead and burnish that. Yeah, I don't think Sal is on here tonight. And I don't remember what I thought she mentioned something the other night, but all right, so let's set this off to the side. We are going to use Early Espresso again. We are going to we'll use that for the thanks. And then just put that. We just need to kind of banner that. Kmart has an Anko tacky glue. Like, are there still Kmarts anywhere? We don't have any Kmarts by us anymore. They all closed. Oops, I guess I still need this for the acorn and oak leaf. All right. That looks pretty good. Okay, so it's owned by a different company. Years ago, I actually worked at Kmart. That was one of my first jobs. I think that was like my second job. I stayed there for quite a while, actually. I worked as a cashier and then at the service desk and then the domestics department, eventually ended up in the cash office. So I was there for a little bit. Kmart, Jupiter, and Kresge used to be pretty big around us. But then Walmart came and pretty much put them out of business. All right. So there's that. I'm going to go ahead and die cut this. I'll put a little bit of washi tape on that. I'm trying to get it lined up just so, oh, there we go. I thought I was off a little bit, but I think that's good now. And we'll get the big one because this is wider than 3 inches, so it won't fit in the little one. And where are you, Julie? Bonnie, I don't remember where you are either. I apologize. So Julie, you're in Sydney, okay. Very nice. And this we're just gonna cut just a plain old banner, I guess, from the sample. My washi tape is still alive and kicking. All right, and this. Oh, right. We were talking about Kankakee and Bourbonnais and Bradley and all of that, weren't we? And I'm going to wait to cut those because we might cut that on an angle. All right, so what else do we need to do? We need to play with this a little bit. And we are going to use alcohol blends for this. Now, if you look at the sample, it's plaid. That background is plaid. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And we need to color our little focal point here too. So let's do the dark pecan pie for the stem. And I should probably have used the bullet point for that. Well, I can use this for here. I'm just going to put the lighter a little bit around the edges here and blend that in a little bit. I think I like this set just because there were acorns. I thought they were pretty fun. Then let's do just a little bit more with this stem. All right, and then I brought in crumb cake just because the recipe didn't call for crumb cake, but that's a little bit lighter than the pecan pie. And I think I might get that color lifter out again. Now remember, when we're doing blending, we want to do it when it's wet. And if we're doing shading, we can do it when it's dry. I'm just doing the darker color here where those highlight lines are already filled in from Stampin' Up. Yeah, my stomach is getting ready to growl, so if you can hear it, I apologize. It's going to add a little bit more darkness on here. And then I'm going to go get a color lifter. And we're going to take just a little bit out. I'm just going to put some dots on here because it's really kind of all it needs. Let me get that color lifter. And I've mentioned before, it doesn't really lift the color. It just kind of pushes the color around. Is that too light? We'll let that dry a little bit and we'll see how it looks. I can always put some more color back in there. All right, so let's do Let's do the light old olive. Just fill in these leaves. It almost seems like they should be more like color change colors with some reds and oranges, but if I had my Calypso Coral brush, could have done some extra little colors on here, but we'll kind of do it per the sample. You can always do another one with other colors. So I kind of do my outline first, and then I can kind of scribble on the inside, and I don't have to worry about going outside of the lines. I'm just trying to read some of the comments here, but trying to pay attention to the project here too. We're almost done with these 6 cards. All right, so let's go with this. Oh, that's a little darker than I expected. It's the dark old olive, huh? I think we'll go back to the light old olive because that's darker than I wanted it to be. And I'm just going over where I added the dark colors there to kind of blend in that shading. So when I use the light color first, it just kind of primes the paper a little bit. And then when I go and I add those darker highlights and then go over it with the lighter again, it really helps with the blending work because it all just kind of melds together. Alrighty. All right, so that piece is done. I think I want to do a little bit more with the light crumb cake. Got a little peaked looking. All right, now for this, we are going to use the pecan pie and the mossy meadow. This is the dark mossy meadow. Light mossy meadow, that must be my other. All right, so what I'm going to do is the green first. Whoops, that got kind of messy. And then I'm going to go over 4 lines and do another green, 4 lines and do another green. And then that's it. We're going to turn it, and I'm going to start here. I'm going to do 4 again. I'm going to have to order new ones of these. The tip of this one is kind of broken down, so it's a little hard to control the edges. All right, and then we're going to use the pecan pie, and we're going to do the other rows in between. And we're making our plaid. So it's not really like making your own DSP, but it's enhancing the DSP. I need a little bit more green down there. Guess I wasn't being careful where I was ending. All right. And then we're going to go and do the same thing on this cross pattern. And the lines on the designer series paper are not super straight. Well, it looks like I counted wrong. No, I didn't. There. I've never lived anywhere but Wisconsin. All right, so that's going to go there. This is going to come here. We're going to go ahead and cut our banner. Now, if we follow the banner sample, they've got angles there. So when I cut my first angle, I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to flip it around. And I'm going to use that as a template to cut the other side at the exact same angle. Because otherwise, if you cut off one side and then you go to cut off the other side and you think you're at the same angle, then you end up, oh, I'm a little off and a little off and a little off. And before you know it, it looks really crazy. All right, so this will come here like so. And the thanks will go on here. We'll see where that's going to sit. But I see on the sample, there is some stamping on our mossy meadow. So I am going to pull this out and we're going to add some mossy meadow design to our cardstock. And then we'll be pretty close to done with this one too. I'm going to bring this in. I think my mossy meadow needs to be re-inked. Whoops. Alaska's on my bucket list. A friend of my husband's daughter is a nurse practitioner in Alaska. She and her husband actually lived near Green Bay, and she took this job as a nurse practitioner in Alaska, and she's really enjoying it. All right, so there's that. I'm going to put a little bit more down here because that first one didn't stamp real good. So I think I'm just going to put some other leaf tips there, and it'll look like I meant for it to be that way. All right. Yeah, there's a lot of wilderness in Alaska. You know, if you're in a big city, I suppose it's fine, but if you're remote, I think you're super remote. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this up on dimensionals. Yeah, having the extended light and the extended dark, I think would be a major adjustment. For me anyway. Well, I think those all complied. Okay. And then let's figure this out. So who else is crafting while I'm crafting here? Helps fill your time. So the sample has the sentiment right on top of the leaves. And I think I want mine not on top of the leaves because those are pretty. So I think I'm going to move mine here. We'll have it in just a little bit with a little bit hanging over. So let's put a little bit of Stamp and Seal on here. And we will add that ribbon. And then I can I have dimensionals here and dimensionals here. So I can put a couple of dimensionals here without making it thicker for postage purposes. Oh. And then what did I just do with my focal point? I thought I lost it. All right, and then we'll put a couple on the ends here. Because these dimensionals will kind of help hold that ribbon even more. We're already starting to get dark early here in Wisconsin. It happens quick. Once it starts happening, it's like fast. I'm going to go ahead and put that on dimensionals and put it right in there, I think. I just wish, whether it's daylight savings time or standard time or whatever they call it, I just wish they would keep it the same. I'll pick one and just stick with it. All right. Now, the sample doesn't have any of those gems, but this is pretty dark, darker than what the computer generated colors were when they were doing this. They do these catalogs like a year and a half to 2 years ahead. So they don't have all the products produced, which is why sometimes I was saying that the colors are a little different. But you know, now I was thinking Winkastella would be cool, but I'm going to pass on the Winkastella. There. Years. I was trying to read that saying, okay, what's 2 tiers? I'm confused because I was missing out on the conversation. Trying to get caught up. Yeah, our family that's in Arizona, they were like in the 100 and teens for quite a bit this year, which is pretty hot. My husband won't go visit when it's hot like that. He doesn't like the heat at all. And I don't mind because they don't have the humidity there in Arizona. But yeah, that's pretty miserable. Yeah, staying where it's air conditioning. Hopefully you have air conditioning when it's that hot all the time. All right, let's go ahead and find these other dies a home. For us, it might stay. I'm just backing up a little bit. Fifi, you said it's light until after 10 o'clock. So for us, we're starting to get dusk at about 20 after 7. And it's pretty dark already by 8 o'clock now. During the summer, it's lighter later, maybe 9:30-ish. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just doing my little head count here so I didn't lose anything. All right. These go together. And then this, we've got, make sure I didn't lose anybody. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, just doing my head count so I didn't lose any dies. All right. So those are our 3 cards. Where do we go? We've got this one. Oh, let me move up here a little bit. Oh my goodness. Having to work in no air conditioning with hot and humid, that would be pretty miserable. Yeah, we had some time this summer where the heat index was over 100 because of the humidity and everything. So we stay inside. All right, so here's our 4th card. So that's the first card we did tonight. Changed up the layout just a little bit. Didn't split the banner. Moved our sentiment over and added some ribbon and some ink blending around the edge and some embellishments. This one looks pretty much the same. Yeah, I like that. Sometimes the pictures in the catalog just don't do them justice. And, once you play with them, it's like, oh, that looks really nice. Because the papers are just more vibrant in person, right? And then here's this one. So we got three cards done tonight. So the first night we did 1, last night we did 2, and now tonight we did 3. So for those who are thinking about joining me tomorrow, I was thinking of maybe using a couple of these leftovers with this set and maybe working on a couple of ideas that are going in my head with this set still. What do you think? Or are you ready for a different set? I could do a kit, or I could do this, or I could, what else do I have that I haven't used? Tuesday, I have another order coming in. I think I ordered the dies for the snowflake things. There's that other stamp. I think I have to wash this one. All right, so we will work some more with, oh, I'll do some of each then. Maybe I'll have at least 2 planned for tomorrow. So we can do something else fun with this one, and then I'll do something different. We'll see how the spirit moves me. All right. So Fifi, when you do your cling stamps, do you save your border so that you know if you're missing any? I like to save my borders just so I know that I've got everything. I still have to put some of the cling stickers on those. Who's looking forward to the new packaging? Yep, it helps to know how to put them back. Bonnie, you save yours too? So Fifi, you're not looking forward to the new packaging. I actually am. I'm planning, I have like some of my things in bins like this already because the sides of these, the images are so small for me. It's hard for me to actually see what it is because my shelves sometimes are a little higher. Um, but with everything being the same size, the stamps and the dies are going to be the same size. I like to keep my things in alphabetical order already. So I'm just going to continue putting mine in alphabetical order, and I'll get some, I'll have to supplement with some other bins. But yeah, it's going to free up a lot of space in my crafting area. So that's a good thing. I'm looking forward to that. They are going to be taller and a little wider from what it looks like. Yeah, Fifi, I know you remodeled your whole room, so that's got to leave a little pit in your stomach. But hopefully, when you get some of them, you can kind of figure out a method that works for you rather than trying to cut down the artwork and putting them in CD cases. Because even buying more of the DVD cases, buying more of those is going to be pretty pricey too. But I know some people have said, "Oh, I'm just going to cut them down and put them in the DVD cases." And I'm just thinking that's a lot of money. A lot of money to do that. I am looking forward to also the dies are now going to have artwork on them, which is going to be really cool because the dies don't have artwork now. So if you don't keep track of, like if I lost track of counting how many dies should be in my kit or in my package rather, and then I come up with an extra one. How many times have we seen people putting out, please, what does this one go with? I can't find it. I don't remember what I was working with. So this way you're going to know what belongs in your die set. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm just putting away my markers, my Stampin' Blends rather, and my inks, just so I don't have a huge mess. I have a team meeting on Sunday, so I want to try to keep things a little contained. The stamps will have artwork, Fifi. Or you mean they're not going to have artwork on the acetate sheet? I have 5 on my team right now, Fifi. Always ready for more. So yeah, if not having the artwork on the acetate is an issue, like for me, I would probably, it doesn't really bother me because like some of the kits now, they don't have artwork on that acetate sheet anymore. But you could always use StazOn, stamp your stamps. And I know some people say not to use the StazOn on your photopolymer. Yes, it will stain because it stays on. But at least then too, you'll see an outline on your stamp instead of just a clear stamp. But you could use the stays on then to stamp the designs on your acetate, and then you know where those stamps have to go too. I've used stays on mine. It doesn't bother me, and I'll use a stays on cleaner, and then I'll just use soap and water to clean them off when I'm done. Yeah, it does stain them black, but you figure if I use anything with a red, you know, base color to it, they're already stained red or pink. So whether it's a black line or a pink line, I guess it really doesn't matter either way to me, but it's personal preference. And when I get my photopolymer stamps too, I usually stamp them with Versamark first and let them sit without washing them before I use a color on them. And I find for me, it typically will give me a better image. Yeah, there's a lot of people that only use the stays on with the red rubber. I have all kinds of extra pieces. We'll see what I can use up tomorrow. Yeah, doing that with the Versamark does seem to help. Because when I get mine, I don't always wash them first. I like to just start stamping. All right, put a couple more things away, and then I think I'm pretty cleaned up already. It was nice having everybody hop in and join me today. We had a pretty big crowd for a while there, and then it trickled down. We still have a good group. There's still 10 of us on here. Yeah, thank you all for popping in. I appreciate it, and I like it that there's some chatter here and some conversation, and that we can share ideas. What would make it look better? Does this look good? Does this not look good? Oh, one more Stampin' Blends that didn't get put away. Alrighty. So I am going to go ahead and sign off. It is almost 1:45 in the morning here in Wisconsin. And I'm meeting a friend tomorrow morning. I went out with a friend today for lunch. Tomorrow we're walking, and we're going to go out to dinner with a couple of my husband's friends tomorrow night. So I'll have to plan my evening cards in the afternoon and figure out what we're going to do. So thank you all for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Fifi, it's almost midnight by you. I imagine you'll be up for a while. Julie, thanks for popping in. Everybody that was new, thanks for popping in. And everybody that's been here before, Mama Juju, it's nice to see you. I get a kick out of your videos. You said something today, yesterday's, whatever day I was watching the replay of something. And you said something about a jail pen. And I used to work in a criminal court system a number of years ago. I left there in 2009, but I had been a manager. And when you said jail pen, I'm thinking, who has a pen in the jail? I don't get it. But you were talking about a gel pen. So I'm like, oh, a gel pen. And again, that's my accent picking up what your accent is in my ears. So that was pretty funny. So, all right. Good night, everybody. We're down to just a handful of folks. Thanks for popping in. I will see everybody, I don't know, 21 hours or so? 19, 20, somewhere around there. Enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good Saturday. Have a good weekend. Thanks for all the hearts. I appreciate it. And until next time, happy crafting.